Most of the time, we do not want to allow access to the fields within our classes from outside of that class. We want to hide those kind of details because the fields are a very fundamental part or very kind of low-level part of the way a class solves a problem. And they're very likely to change over time. So we don't want to have those kind of details exposed outside of the class. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't want to allow interaction with the information inside those fields from outside the class. So what we do is we generally use methods to control access to our fields. As you would expect, this is an issue that we have to address very frequently. So a common pattern called the Accessor mutator pattern has arisen to deal with that. Now, if you're not familiar with the term pattern, all that means is it's just kind of a common way we solve the problem. Let's take a look at our flight class that we've been working with. Right, we have a couple fields inside of here, passengers and seats. And let's say that we decide that we'd like to allow interaction with the seats values. Now again, we don't want to give them direct access to seats. We don't want to make that public. So what we'll do is we use methods to address that. So what we do is we use what's called an accessor to get to the field value. It's often just called a getter. And what we do is we create a method normally that has the word get followed by the field name. Right? So the accessor for our seats would simply be get seats. Notice that the return type is the same as the field itself. And also notice that the method is following camel case, right? A lowercase g for the first word and an uppercase s for seats the second word, right? Even though the field started with a lowercase s, that doesn't matter, right? We're going to use consistent camel casing as we name things. And all the accessor does is just return seats. And so easy for the consumer of the class to get to the value, but we've got control. If we ever change the way we manage seats, that will not affect anyone using this class. To allow the value of seats to be modified, we use what's called a mutator, also known as a setter. As you might have guessed, the way we name that method is simply set and the field name. So a mutator for our seats field, which is going to have public void set seats. Notice that the return type is void because the setter doesn't return anything back, and it has a parameter to receive the incoming value. So now inside of set seats, what we want to do is set our field seats to have the value of that parameter. Now we have an interesting challenge here. Notice that we're saying seats equals seats. Well, because on the right-hand side, we want the one that's the parameter. On the left-hand side, we want the one that is the field. This is a great time to use this. Right? By putting this in front of the seats on the left, that says that I want the field seats to receive the value of the parameter seats. Right? If we go ahead and set up some code, we create an instance of our flight. If I want to set the number of seats, I simply call our SLC to NYC reference, again, set seats, pass in 150, that would set the value of seats to be 150. To get the value back, I simply call get seats against SLC to NYC, and it returns back the value we set, 150.